Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Earwax. It's Colin, and today we're going to be going over my top 5 albums of 2022. Now, like all of my lists, this is going to be just my personal favorite 5 albums, plus some honorable mentions from the year 2022. And if you've seen these series before, you know that I'm only counting full studio albums. So no live albums, no compilations, no cover albums, anything like that. Before we get into it, if you guys could please comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff helps out a ton. And without further ado, let's talk about the honorable mentions. So my first honorable mention is going to be Time Skiffs by Animal Collective. This was the first Animal Collective album since Centipede Hurts that I really enjoyed. Not that Painting With was bad, or some of the more like soundtrack experimental stuff they'd done after that was not my cup of tea. It was more just that like there wasn't an album that I really thoroughly enjoyed listening to front to back, and this was a nice sort of return to form for them. After that is going to be Danger Mouse and Black Thought, Cheat Codes. Probably my favorite hip hop album of the year. I absolutely love Danger Mouse. I think his production is fantastic, especially when he's putting his name on something and not just working behind the scenes. And then obviously Black Thought is one of the best rappers of all time. I think he doesn't get enough credit for what like he and the Roots contributed to the scene. The fact that there's not a single Roots album on the was it Rolling Stone that just released like the 100 top hip hop albums of all time recently? I think it was them, but there was like no Roots or Black Thought on there, which just really surprised me. And then last honorable mention for me is going to be Orville Peck's sophomore album Bronco. Really love this album. Just great soulful sort of ballad driven country that has a little bit more upbeat sort of like flair to it than his debut Pony. As much as I absolutely love Pony, Bronco I think brought a little bit more just as far as like fun to it. I do think Pony is a slightly better album just as far as like pure songwriting goes, but absolutely love Bronco, and definitely one you should check out if you're like a modern country fan. All right, so that's it for the honorable mentions. Let's get into number 5. Coming in at number 5 for me is going to be Two Dreams by Circa Survive. Now, technically, this is a collection of the 2 EPs they released this year, but they released it as one solid album, all original material, so I'm counting it. This is also the last Circa Survive album we've gotten, and I loved it. I mean, even if we never get any more Circa Survive, which I hope is not the case, I really enjoyed how they went out with this one. It was very like almost psych leaning, and some like the electronic stuff they were doing. Very dreamy, hence the name Two Dreams, but like definitely a weird sort of like somber note for them to go out on. But I think it was a perfect sort of like late addition to their discography, and I really enjoyed the more sort of melancholic vibes they brought with it, with songs like Imposter Syndrome, Our Last Shot, and Even Better. I really think it's just a great collection of songs, and one that I really continue to enjoy putting on to this day. Coming in at number 4 is going to be Skinty Fia by Fontaines DC. Absolutely love this album. Some great, just like Irish post-punk that has a little bit of more of like an alt-rock feel than some of their earlier albums. Standout tracks include the title track, Jackie Down the Line, and Roman Holiday. They really just continue to mature and grow as songwriters, and they found that really good mix on this album of really catchy stuff, as well as some of their more traditional sort of like underground post-punk feels. There's some absolutely amazing songs that just feel like they could be the perfect soundtrack to just like hanging out with the boys, walking around town, driving your car. And then there's some songs that are definitely more of like a sit down and absorb them kind of feel. And I just think it's absolutely probably, I think it might be their best album. As much as I loved Romance and I loved the few albums before this, this is probably my favorite. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Omnium Gatherum by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Now, I don't understand why there are some people out there that don't like this album. I think, there's something to be said that it's really one of their only albums that sort of doesn't stick to one genre thematically throughout. They definitely jump around, but just the inclusion of like the Dripping Tap, Magenta Mountain, and Gaia should put this in like the top 10 albums that they've released. But the rest of the album is fantastic as well. I loved the weird sort of like hip hop direction they went with the Grim Reaper and Sadie Sorceress. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it was really fun and they did it pretty well. But yeah, I love this album. It's the one I always recommend for people to like check out of King Gizzards, just because it kind of gives you a little bit of everything while still maintaining the high quality of sound writing that they've become known for. Coming in at number 2 is going to be Wet Leg. Wet Leg. I love this album. I'm a little bit disappointed that their sophomore release didn't like top this, but I think front to back, this is one of the best indie rock albums we've gotten in a long time. You've got the big singles on it of Wet Dream and Chaise Long, but Your Mom, absolutely incredible. Angelica, like it's such a fun album. The songwriting on here is incredible. You can tell that like they're just having fun with it, and obviously like this is the album that made them blow up, so clearly a lot of people like besides myself resonated with it as well. But yeah, it's just such a fun, like, you know, carefree indie rock album, and I absolutely love the two girls that are behind it. You know, I've watched a lot of like interviews and stuff with them, and they just seem so like earnest, down to earth, and you know, really just having fun with their career. And I think that's what this is all about. And an incredible debut, probably one of the best debuts in the past like decade. And speaking of incredible debuts, my number 1 favorite album from 2022 is going to be Past Lives by LS Dunes. Talked about LS Dunes a few times on this channel. This album is incredible. Supergroup featuring members of Circa Survive, of My Chemical Romance, of Thursday, and Coheed and Cambria. And what they came together to create on this album is one of the best post-hardcore albums we've gotten in a very long time. The big single off of this, in Permanent Rebellion, is absolutely incredible. But 2022 Bomb Squad, like the whole track list front to back is phenomenal. And this will go down not just my favorite album of 2022, it might be one of my favorite albums of the decade. Obviously, we still got the second half to go, and probably like one of my favorite Anthony Green projects. The follow-up that they came out with this year was also very good. I don't think it was quite as good as Past Lives, but yeah, I absolutely love this album. If you haven't listened to it, if you're into post-hardcore, you know, sort of like the harder side of like alt rock, you know, it's a little proggy at certain points, but not really. It's more just like, you know, post-hardcore, a little bit of emo, but it's absolutely fantastic. And if one you haven't listened to yet, you should put on your rotation for your next listening session. All right, guys, so that's it. Those are my top 5 albums for 2022. Let me know down in the comments what your top 5 albums for that year were. As always, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for being here. We've got 2012 coming out next. And as always, I will talk to y'all later. Peace.